Welcome, YouTube friends and family, to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So I think anytime that you lose a parent or having a lot of folks in your family pass away due to old age or whatever reason, you start thinking about some of the old ways. So I've come up with 10 old-fashioned frugal tips to help you save money. I hope you'll stay tuned. I hope you all are off to a good start this week. I'm actually filming this on Friday for Tuesday. I'm trying to get ahead. I've been so far behind y'all that I've been literally like filming the day before I have to post. And I don't like being under that pressure for sure because I want to bring you quality videos. I first want to say welcome all of you new subscribers. Y'all, we are growing. We're up to 4,685 subscribers, something like that this morning. So if you're brand new to my channel, if you've never come here before and you somehow clicked on this video, my name is Kym. I have a very small homestead here, and I like things old-fashioned, all things 1950s, 1960s. I just absolutely love it. But I was thinking this morning about my grandparents and some of the things they did do and some of the things they didn't do. And I thought, I can off the top of my head talk about some ways to be a little bit more frugal and maybe adhere back to some of the old-fashioned ways. So my grandparents, my dad's parents, spent their entire lives in Eastern Kentucky. And my grandpa was a Baptist minister, and they farmed. They had 10 children, 7 of which reached adulthood. And I don't have to tell you all that farming and preaching is not like a high-income type lifestyle, especially when you have, at any given time, 7 to 10 children, right? My mom's parents also from the same area, Eastern Kentucky, 3 children that all lived to adulthood. They did a lot of farming, and my grandpa was a cabinet maker for many years. But I only knew my grandparents to be extremely frugal. A lot of that carried over to my parents as well. So my first tip here is cook at home from scratch. And I started thinking about that, and I wondered, did my grandparents ever get to go out to eat? I can't remember them ever doing that. Whenever there was an anniversary or a birthday or something to celebrate, a holiday, it was always cook at home from scratch. And you might think, I know that. But y'all, have you ever stopped to consider the true cost of going out to eat? I mean, of course, we want to pay the business for providing us with the meal, but there's a little bit more to it than that. First off, with the price of gas, and some of you all, I'm praying for you because your gas is way higher than mine. The cost of gas to get there, the wear and tear on your car to get there. And then you want to be gracious to a good server. So not only do you have the cost of your meal, you're going to have a tip to pay as well. If you have young children or maybe even senior parents that can't be left alone, you may be paying for a caregiver or a babysitter. So when you put all of that together, it's always going to be easier to go out to eat, but it's always going to be a lot more economical to cook at home from scratch. Now, I do like to support my local businesses, and I will occasionally get pizza from our local pizza parlor, but by far and large, I cook at home from scratch. One suggestion I do have for you, and this is something I fall into, and I know my son has also talked about this. Get yourself some recipes that are simple and basic and good and that your family like, rather than to do what I often like to do, and that is peruse. Maybe you're perusing Pinterest, or you like a certain style of cooking that requires so many exotic ingredients that might end up going bad on the shelf with the leftovers or in your refrigerator. Think about your grandma's favorite dish or your favorite dish of your grandma's. You know, what were some of the staples that they cooked? And if you think about it, many of the things that they cooked, while delicious, and sometimes we crave them, they were very, very simple things. Maybe they grew on their farms, coming from a farming family. I certainly do not farm. I think one of the things I remember the most is cornbread. Cornbread was a belly filler. Corn and cornmeal was something that was always on hand. So there was a lot of cornbread in my growing up, and to this day, I love cornbread. Along with that, not eating out, we've talked about this before, about going out for coffee. Now that's fun. It's fun, guys. I have not been to a Starbucks in years, but when I traveled, when I was working, I was amazed at the cost of a coffee. And I would just get like a coffee, you know, not like espresso or a latte or whatever. If you really love those type drinks, maybe invest one time in a coffee maker that does a variety of things. That's what I've done. I can make about anything I want, and now syrups and flavored creamers and things like that are readily available. And I'm telling you all, if you're spending, and this is modest, if you're spending $5 3 times a week, so that's $15 times 4.3 weeks is $60+ a month on coffee. You know, you can be up, depending on what you're ordering, up to like $1,000 just for coffee. I order my coffee beans in 2-pound packs from Amazon, grind my own, and I'm telling you, my coffee is absolutely delicious. And I do not miss, sorry Starbucks, I do not miss going out for coffee anymore. Number 2, and I tried to do this, wear an apron to save your clothes. Y'all, I'm the world's worst, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm always too warm, and I figure an apron just adds a layer, fine in the winter, and it also makes me look chubbier than I already am if I'm filming. But I can't tell you the number of shirts I've ruined with tomato stains or grease stains that don't come out. That is why our grandparents always wore an apron, one of the reasons. Not only did they wear it for cooking, they wore it for gardening. And I'm sure they had different aprons, you know. They weren't going to cook a meal in a dirt-soiled apron, but also for cleaning. Have you ever ruined something because you splashed a bleach toilet cleaner on yourself, or some type of cleaner that had bleach in it, or you're using straight up bleach? That can also ruin your clothes. So clothes are an investment. They're definitely an additional cost. So get those aprons out. Guys, there are millions of aprons on Amazon, on Etsy. I recently, and I can link this below, I recently ordered these thinking I would wear them more. And y'all, I'm gonna tell myself, you'll all be searching back through. The first time I wore this apron, which I really liked, I think it was my off-grid experiment, I wore it inside out. And I was like, how did I get an apron without a pocket? I wore the apron inside out. But this crisscrosses in the back. It ties in the front. It has 2 big pockets. It's nice and long. It protects you. I like the ones that come up higher because I spill on my top half. So a half apron isn't practical, but you could probably wear this, you know, folded in half as well. So get y'all an apron to decrease the wear and tear on your clothes. Next, limit your beverage choices. So as y'all know, I've been having some work done here, some much needed and much overdue repair work. And I've been a little embarrassed because I want to be, and these are people I know. Guys, these aren't just like random repair people, right? Hold on. But I don't have a lot of choices. I have milk or almond milk, water, tea, and coffee. I don't buy juices. If I have fruit that I want to make a juice from, I will sometimes have that, but I use that more in cooking, not as a beverage. And I don't buy soda. Y'all, it's expensive, and it really adds nothing to your diet nutritionally to drink soda. You know, you may be adding artificial color, artificial flavor, sometimes artificial sweetener or just lots of sugar. So I would encourage you, try to get away from those high calorie sodas or even the diet sodas that have a lot of kind of iffy sweeteners in it. And what I have found is the more water I drink, the more water I want. So while I've been like, you want water? You want milk? You want a cup of coffee? That's fine. That is my lifestyle. And I can tell you, it has saved me a ton of money, a ton of money. I need to go like actually look at prices, but I've looked a little bit when stuff is on sale and I'm like, oh my word, that is so expensive. And once you get in the habit of drinking soda, it's very hard to get away from it. I never knew either one of my grandparents, either side of my grandparents to drink any sort of soda. And when you went to their home, now my one grandma would do iced tea. It was water or milk or coffee. So that might help save you a little bit of money. Number 4 tip, learn to bake at home. Now, there's a difference between cooking and baking. Cooking is more of an art. It's something that you can kind of ad lib and add things to, measure the garlic with your heart, those type of things. Baking is a little bit more of a science in that it requires, if it's something that needs to rise, it's going to require certain ingredients, whether you're using a yeast with a little sugar and warm water, or you're using baking soda, baking powder, and salt as a leavening agent. But y'all, it doesn't have to be complicated. I have a playlist on bread making. Now, sometimes I do use my bread machine, but you don't even have to have a bread machine. I do have recipes for just a hand-done loaf of bread. You can actually do it without a mixer. Requires a little bit more elbow grease to get it kneaded up. But having those types of skills, I am blown away by the price of healthy breads. So Ezekiel bread or the Dave's 11 seed bread or whatever, guys, it is almost $7 a loaf. And you can make a very healthy bread for pennies on the dollar. Now, there is one caveat. Breads made at home aren't going to have all the preservatives and the highly processed ingredients as well. So the bread does not stay fresh as long, and you may have to make it more often. You may have to keep it in the refrigerator, which is what I've been doing to kind of prolong the life of my actual bread. If you leave it out on the counter like you would a store loaf of bread, it's going to deteriorate much faster. Another item along the baking line, learn how to make some simple desserts, have some go-tos. Now, I do can pie fillings, which makes it for a really simple and fast pie. That's very nice. But if you're not canning, get some simple desserts that you can make, whether it's homemade cookies or a brownie or a simple sheet pancake. That will save you so much money. Y'all, I was in Walmart, and in order to go to where I needed to go, I had to go past that big aisle, you've all seen it, that has all the goodies that are seasonal, so they had a lot of fall treats. I was amazed at the price. It was over $6. It might have been $6.37, $6.57. You know how Walmart prices are. It wasn't $7. It was more like the $6.50. And it was a little bitty thing like mini cupcakes, and you got like 6 of them or 9 of them. And I thought, wow, you can do it at home for so much cheaper, even than what you can buy in the grocery store. Plus, y'all, you can control the ingredients. Now, coming up, I'm going to try to wait until October's actually here. We are going to be doing the funnest video. I'm going to be sharing 3 viral Pinterest fall/Halloween things that you can make at home for a fraction of the cost of what it would cost you to order it from a bakery or just to buy it in the store. All right. Also, guys, go to YouTube University. There are so many really excellent channels that do a great job on making bread. Just, search for simple homemade bread recipes or simple brownie recipe or whatever. Y'all, we are living in an age, since you have YouTube and you're watching me, where information is so available. So take advantage of that. You don't even have to go buy a cookbook, right? All right, number 5, reuse containers. And I'm gonna say especially glass. So, as you all know, I have recently cleaned out my mother's home when I moved her to assisted living before she passed away, but also my aunt's. And I want to tell you, my aunt was the best jar saver in the world. Like, she loved herself a good big pickle jar, right? There were so many of them, but they're good jars, guys. If they're a good jar with a good lid, you can store all kinds of things in them, even if they're not canning suitable. They're great to store dry goods in. They're very, very useful, so hang on to them. My mother had the full set of Cool Whip tubs and margarine tubs. And oh my word, I have never seen so many plastic containers. That's not my jam, but I can remember, you know, going and I would clean out her refrigerator and I would think, why does she have all this Cool Whip? And I'd open it up and I'm like, okay, this is chili, this is leftover fried chicken. So, you know, it was like mystery search. So I personally prefer and have a set of glass, the little containers with the lock and lock lids that I use for my leftovers. I don't have large volumes of leftovers because I'm only cooking for one. I do have leftovers, and those are very, very nice because you can see what you actually have and you're less likely to waste food. So I was going to tell you my little funny. You know you're an adult and you're adulting when you get a box, like a delivery from Amazon or something you've ordered, and you're like, this is a nice box. I gotta save this box. Y'all know you've done it. Or a nice jar. I'm gonna need this jar. This is the coolest jar. So anyway, just a little funny there. Number 6, grow a simple garden. Now, I've had some pushback on my channel about you can't possibly be saving money by gardening. So I'm not here to argue that point, yay or nay. I'm just going to tell you, yes, you can, but it depends on a lot of factors. So if you spend a ton of money on plant starts and fertilize and compost, and you're buying everything rather than to try to do it a little more simply, yes, you're probably exceeding any value, although you can grow organically and you will never beat the freshness and vitamin quality of what you grow at home because it hasn't been shipped long term. You can greatly decrease your expense, guys. My chickens, I compost their shells, I compost their bedding, I compost manure into my garden beds. I compost my kitchen scraps I can't feed the chickens, which then turns into manure, which then I can use on the garden. Now, chicken manure has to age. You can't put it on fresh. Okay, that's something to know. But by making my own compost, by using manure, so I'll be doing my fall clean out really well of their run and their coop and their nesting box. All of that will get turned into my garden so that it can fertilize through the winter and it'll be ready, pardon me, for spring planting. Maybe you don't want or don't have the room for a garden. Y'all, you can grow a ton in containers. So you've all seen the green stalk. That is a great option. I could not believe how well cherry tomatoes did in there. You can grow herbs, and I apologize, guys. It's allergy season and my nose is itchy. Just plain old containers. I grew the most beautiful green peppers last year in just like a decorative pot. So you don't have to have a formal garden space to be able to grow some food. Now, with that said, if you've all been on my channel for a while, you know that I have raised beds. I literally started my formal garden, non-container garden, with 3 4x4 beds. That fall, I added 3 more. The next year, I added 2 4x8 beds. Then last year, I added 2 more 4x8 beds. I actually have purchased 2 more, and I am going to expand my garden space. So I look at it as a long-term investment. Those beds are as functional as the day many years ago that I put them in. My fence, however, I did buy a very inexpensive fence just to keep, it didn't work, critters out. And the girls have learned how to get past the fence, but they won't be able to get past the new fence. And before I end this video, I am going to show you what's going on, guys, because it's so amazing. And I am so blessed that I will really have a much larger space and be able to grow and produce a lot more veggies, flowers, and fruit next year. So think about what can you grow. You can also use the hydroponic growing systems. I'm telling you guys, you can get those on sale. Always wait for the sale. An Arrow Garden, amazing. I have the big one now that I got for like a third of the price. They were closing it out. They're probably coming out with a new one. I do my seeds starting in it. You can grow in the winter. So think about things that you use a lot of. Like, I'm a big tomato eater or tomato product eater. I also love pickles. I love jalapenos. Love, love, love jalapenos. So I love to preserve hot peppers. I'm not much of a jam and jelly eater. I did a lot of that for my mom, but I do use some, and it's really great for gifting. So growing the things that you either consume a lot of or are very pricey. Herbs, and herbs don't last when you buy them in the store, in my experience, and it may be where I'm purchasing from. All right, number 7, consider preserving food. Now, y'all, there's a million ways to preserve food. You can dry it, or dehydrate it, whichever way you want to call it. You can freeze dry it. You can can it. You can freeze it. I like to distribute my food preservation over many different methods, but I will say I primarily can things much more than just freezing. I have a ton of freeze-dried food. If you have chickens, you can water glass eggs. I personally don't do that because I'm able to freeze dry my eggs, and I'm a little ahead on all the eggs. Now that I'm selling eggs, I'm not at my high water mark anymore. So again, preserve things that you purchase frequently, that are of a high cost, that are expensive, that are seasonal. That is a big thing. Y'all, anytime I need a pie, I've got all kinds of pie filling. I've got cherry, I've got apple, I got peach, I've got it all. And I don't have to rely on buying the fruits out of season, which are usually not very tasty and are quite pricey as well. Number 8, and I feel like I've been the poster child for this. Learn how to DIY some of your own home projects. Now, you may be like, yeah, you hired somebody to do things. Well, y'all, there are things I can't do. I can't replace 2 double doors that took 2 very strong men to remove and replace, right? Like, I can't do that. But you know what I can do, and I did too? I can paint those doors. I can I can remove the trim nails. I can re-nail it. I can set the nails. There are so many little pieces and parts that I can do myself. And then there are many home projects like painting, simple electrical work that I can do myself. And with YouTube University and Google University, or just get yourself a really good DIY book, there are so many things that you can learn to do. And being self-sufficient is really going to save you that money. Number 9, along the same lines of being self-sufficient, y'all learn some basic sewing skills. Now, y'all may say, well, but I don't have a sewing machine. You can buy sewing machines every day at either the Goodwill, and most Goodwills will let you return it if it doesn't work. You can download manuals online, online, if it doesn't come with a manual. The Mennonite Central Committee store that I often go to, they always have half a dozen sewing machines at any given time. So why would you want to learn to sew when this is the age of fast fashion, where you can go on Amazon and get some of the things same days? You can alter your own clothes. I happen to be a short girl, and so I don't have to pay anybody to hem a skirt or hem a pair of pants. Also, what if you raise your arm and you rip out the underarm seam of something? Things are not made as well as they used to be. You can do your own mending, and it saves you so much money over time. If I want custom curtains that look mid-century, I just get the fabric and I sew them. You can make things for your home, like canning mats and hot mitts. I mentioned draperies. There's so much, tablecloths. There's so many things you can do if you have just some basic sewing skills. So I would really encourage you, no matter if you're male or female, to learn how to do some basic sewing things. And then my final thought for the old-fashioned way to help you save a little bit of money is barter. Y'all, I barter. So I have certain gifts and talents and abilities that I can use to make soap or bath and body products, or canning or whatsoever, freeze drying, where if someone has something I need or want, so I have never paid for my goat's milk because I'm able to barter for it. I'm able to say, I have these soaps in stock. Let me freeze dry this for you and do an even trade. I can remember my grandparents doing a lot of that because there was very little cash money. So things that held value to other people when they didn't need them themselves were a great item to barter with. So before we close, y'all, I'm going to take you out. I'm going to show you something really, really neat. It's going to be a little bit before it's totally finished, but it's looking really nice. So I hope you'll stay tuned. All right, y'all. So this is my new replacement fence. This will be the front gate. There will be a corresponding back gate. And as you see here, this is kind of I'm calling this the annex. So my yard greatly slopes. So there will be a couple more beds here. I also have lots and lots of room on the other end, and this is just going to give me so much more capacity to produce fruits and vegetables. I will have this whole area here. My girls are a little confused and I may be moving my compost bin. It was logical when I first started the garden, but there's one other surprise which I'm not going to share with you yet, but this is going to be really, really lovely. And of course, these posts will be cut and capped. I hope today's video has given you at least some food for thought. Maybe brought back some fun memories of your parents, your grandparents, aunts, uncles, as you were growing up and things that they did to save money. I also hope you enjoyed the little sneak peek of the garden. It's probably going to be a couple weeks before we will be to the finish point. I am going to have to start clearing out the garden for fall very, very soon. I'm really at end of production. I still have peppers and I still have some tomatoes, but not a lot. And of course my loofah. So we'll be having videos on that as well. If you've enjoyed today's video, please do me a big favor. Go ahead and smash that like button. Drop me a comment below. Do you have any old-fashioned money-saving tips you'd like to share with the group? Y'all come up with some good ones that I definitely put in my wheelhouse, so I appreciate all the comments. I will see you all a bit later this week, but until then, be healthy, be well, be blessed, and take care.